All right, everyone, welcome back to Verbal Violence Radio. I have a problem, guys. I can't keep my mouth shut whatsoever. I said I was done with season 1. I'm going to take a break, but I can't take a break. You know why? It's because I'm addicted to this shit. I have to have something going on every single time. I have an entrepreneur that is here who is here to change the game. He's come out with the dopest shoes. If you ever seen this shoe that has bright colors, it's something you can wear to the club, you can wear to taekwondo practice, whatever you want to do. My man, DK, Mr. David Kwok, how you doing?
Hey, first of all, thank you for bringing me on. And as we've spoken, I've told you before, I've seen you from back in the day when you're competing, just entertaining fights, big matches, and just a lot of hype. So it's crazy to see after I think it's been like 15 years since you've been competing.
Man, no, 2016, it was my last
Okay,
competition.
so like 10 years, 10, 15 years, and now we're here like this, in a different setting. So it's really cool to see how we're kind of in a full circle moment like this. We've been listening and following along with VVR, and it was just perfect how, our brand is trying to bring something for the taekwondo community, and to finally have kind of like a more free and open, edgy
Yeah,
podcast and radio show for our community was super sick. And the fact that, again, thank you so much for bringing me on.
of course. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that follow button hit on Instagram, I was like, okay, I got someone's attention.
Yeah.
So it's always good to get someone that's there for the community. Um, yes, I am pretty edgy. You're right. Yeah, I am pretty edgy. I kind of consider myself like a little anti-hero because you don't know what side I'm going to be on.
Mm,
But the one thing I'm going to be there for is obviously the community, the kids, and I want to make sure that we can help make the change,
right.
right? So with you and I, we're doing this together, so we can implement that out to the Taekwondo community because obviously right now it's kind of an all for me thing and not for everyone else. So yeah, man. So let's get into it. Introduce yourself, man. Give us a little backstory about yourself, man.
Yeah. So everyone pretty much knows me as a Coach DK. As of right now, I'm the head coach for UC Irvine's Taekwondo Club team. SoCal Taekwondo is pretty much my community. Been coaching local, state, and up to the national level. So it's been a lot of fun, a lot of learning, and being able to have relationships with people, and of course, all the senior coaches and the masters and the grandmasters being able to go and always show respect to them. Within our community kind of guidelines, right? We're
Yeah,
all about respect. We're about competitiveness, but we have our own set ways, right? I like to call it the black belt way.
yeah,
You know, so about me and Taekwondo is I started at the neighborhood corner spot dojang,
yeah,
right? As we all know, every city has a Taekwondo school, and it ranges, as we know, from, the neighborhood school and all the way up to elite schools that, some of them that you very well know of as well and trained
yeah,
out of as well, right? So started there, was able to meet the master that, I ran my tutelage and my long years under, and that opened my eyes to it all. And for me, it was originally a confidence issue, right? I trained really hard, and all my sambes would always tell me, like, you should compete, like, you should try, you should give yourself this, like, why wouldn't you, right? And so, but at that time of my life, it didn't really, it wasn't like an understanding to me of why I even needed confidence, right?
yeah,
Go to school, study, read, and that's pretty much our life, right?
yeah,
But when it came into taekwondo and you're trying something so hard, I had really like badass sambes.
yeah.
These guys originally we were a demonstration team. My kwanjangnim was the Korea Tiger team
Okay.
captain,
Yeah,
right? So he comes from that lineage, right?
yeah,
Yongin University, demonstration team, Korean Tigers, and then so we were originally a demonstration team. But these Hanbis were, again, they're badass guys, and they trained really hard, and so it's just like, "Yeah, we should go compete and we should fight." And
yeah,
that's when it started kind of becoming a thing where it's like, this confidence issue, right? But um, got into heavy training, loved taekwondo for it, changed my body, changed my mentality, changed, my life training that hard. But again, it was so hard to break that barrier. That flight or fight was so like heavy in me,
yeah,
and when it came to that. And then so luckily I was able to at least put myself into coaching and learn the game. I was training at the same time, so I can understand, like, what the players are kind of going through and how to train them and how to push them to certain limits, right? And then luckily from that type of a taekwondo career, I was able to see guys like you and Chase Graham and Philip Yoon
Yeah.
and all pretty much I call you guys the hype era,
Yeah.
right? My Sambe, Alex Robles, badass guy as well.
Yeah.
Of course, there's so many more, right? That I probably maybe have not ever seen or been able to watch. And Taekwondo is international
Yeah.
and it's nationwide. There's probably badass fighters from your generation, from the East Coast as well, from Central and everything like this. So yeah, I took my life that way. Taekwondo is a very important thing to me. The physical part of it, the training part of it, the mental part of it. It's given me proper principles in life.
Yeah.
That's helped me go through big life changes, right? Like what is a Taekwondo guy? I'm like a dojang rat.
Yeah.
At one point I was Monday through Sunday teaching all the classes, training at nighttime, then going to UC Irvine, coaching them. And when I was younger, I was training with them as well,
Yeah.
at nighttime. So that was all of my life. And all of a sudden I find myself in an office because I
Yeah.
needed a career and things like this, right? And then so big changes like that, pretty much, how do you survive? How do you get into all that? How do you do well in that corporate space, right?
Yeah.
And then luckily, I had that kind of hard, disciplined, just whatever challenge it is, we can do it,
Yeah.
right? Practice, learn, try, attempt, right? Things like this. So, um, yeah, it's been quite the many years, quite the growth, a lot of experiences, and now we're here in business. And so Top TKD, it actually originally started because during those times we were training so much old school style.
Yeah.
And you know very well that you guys we kick a lot and we kick very hard,
Yeah.
right? And then so because of that, like, micro fractures, you don't know that it's fractured, but when it's cold, your feet hurt,
Yeah.
right? And then so micro fractures, and then so, Adidas taekwondo shoes,
Yeah.
right? The original Nike taekwondo shoes. We were trying to get those and we were training shoes. The problem was we can only get them from eBay.
Yeah.
Right? When you order from eBay, the pricing was there, but then you have international shipping costs,
Yeah.
and then you have the time it took just to bring those over.
Yeah.
And then so I told myself, okay, you know what? Why don't I just be the guy to just have them? I'll just order a lot of them, and we'll just have them here.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
if anyone needed them, I have them here. It'll be fast. It'll be cheaper, and then we can just get it. But as I was developing that and learning into manufacturing and different companies and people that had like the molds and the patterns and everything like that, I started to think, okay, well, you know what? This is gonna be more of like a community-based thing. Because again, I wasn't doing this to make money, right? This
Yeah.
is not like like an income generating business,
Yeah.
right? This is more of a community-based project. And then so that's when I got into trying to figure out, okay, can I customize the shoes? And after that, it's okay, can I create the shoes? Can I change the shoes and different things? Like if you see our shoes compared to like the Korea company, I think they're called the Airs,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're a 4-hole design, right? So it's 2 holes on each side, which
Yeah.
is great. It wraps around your ankle very tight. It's
Yeah.
very nice. But the problem is the rest of your foot inside of the shoe gets very wobbly.
Yeah.
Some people have narrow feet, some people have wide feet, right? And so we try to find and try to customize the shoe so that we would have an 8-hole design. So there's 4 holes further down the foot, so we
Yeah.
can get a better wrap, right?
That makes sense.
So we got that part, and then it developed into the colors, right? And then so I thought, okay, what could be fun? So one of the mandates of our company is to do things new and different, meaning in a general way. When you look at taekwondo stuff, we always see the blue and the red,
Yeah.
right? We always see that blue, that standard Hogu blue and that standard, red, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, I want to get away from that. And that's where our first original set of the Miami Heat colors, right? The neon pink, the
Yeah.
highlight blue, that's where that came from,
Okay.
right? And then so we got the samples for them and, the colors. I was a little bit worried because, those are rubber soles. So they're not transparent. So I was a little bit worried of how dull the colors might come out. But when they came, they popped very well and they had a natural kind of shine to them. And I was like, okay, this is great. It's a lot of fun, right? And so the mandate was to do things new. That's why we didn't go with the traditional red and the traditional blue at the time.
It's really good when you break out of the tradition, right? Like when I watch your videos on Instagram, I see a lot of kids, everybody, they like to do the color matching with the socks.
Yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah,
is
yeah.
which is pretty cool, right? You
Yeah.
could do that with like Nike Dunks.
Yeah.
But now you can do them with TOPTKD shoes.
Yeah. Hey, shout out Kaliana Fonseca.
Oh, she's the one that does it?
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
wow.
been matching the socks and everything.
Okay. I also saw you had Kayla Morales.
Yeah.
Yes, she actually, that's funny. She lives down the street from me.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they live right down the street from me, like 2 minutes. They talk to me all the time.
Yeah.
Master Morales is a great man. I trained with him for years. So shout out to Master Morales, Knockout TKD.
Yeah, Master Morales, Kayla, she's like a sister to us.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She worked hard for years. She was that kid outside our practice watching us train.
Right.
And I'm listening to your story and you're talking about how, you started at your basic, pretty much corner taekwondo store and, school. And then from there, like, you fell in love with the art.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously you love the sport aspect of it.
Yeah.
And demo team, I think, is pretty cool. I know I shit on Poomsae all the time, but demo team, I think is pretty cool because I watched the Korean Tigers. I've seen them. I've gone to Korea multiple times.
Yeah.
You know who actually had a really good demo team? I don't know if he still does it. Nicky Kwan.
Yeah.
He actually does a pretty cool one. He lived in Korea and like studied there and whatnot.
Yeah.
Didn't compete really much, but great guy. Had a great demo team. So back in the day for myself, fighting. I was just a little badass kid. That was it. I was just trying to get into shit.
Yeah.
Like my mom put me in taekwondo.
Oh,
My mom put me in. Her and her best friend at the time, they said we need to put Sven into something, and because I was just wild. I was just wild.
Yeah.
They put me in kickboxing, and then my mom was like, "No way, we're gonna put him in taekwondo. We'll try that."
Yeah.
So I went there, and my mom's like, "Okay, this is better." And I was like, "I don't want to do this. This is lame." I thought it was super lame.
Yeah.
Well, lo and behold, I guess I was only supposed to do like the free trial for 2 months, and they were gonna pull me out.
Yeah.
And they had noticed that I liked it.
Right.
And where I started was with actually Victory Taekwondo back in the day.
Okay, nice.
That's where I started with Grandmaster Kim.
Yeah.
That was my first master.
Yeah.
At the time, Master Pablo was the instructor there. There was instructor Priscilla. There was instructor Chris. Like, I remember all of them.
Yeah.
Gabe Martinez started there with me when he was like 4 years old. So, I knew a lot of these guys for years. That's where I met Taylor and Tavis.
Oh, wow.
At one point I was taller than them. I was bigger than both. They were good. They were really good. Obviously they stepped away for years, and then I met them later on, and next thing you know, they're both shaped like the Hulk.
Yeah.
So they're all muscle, all protein. And so it's weird. When it came down to sparring, like, was it just a conversation? You just put yourself out there, or was that your thing? Like, you're just like, I want to spar, I want to compete, but it's like, do I want to take that chance? Is that what it is?
Yeah. So for me, like, taekwondo was a whole.
Yeah.
Right. Again, because like we started as a demonstration team.
Yeah.
Right. And the first time I saw like legit technique, right, like some true clean, pure kicks, was in taekwondo, was through just taekwondo itself.
Yeah.
It wasn't from sparring. It wasn't from like board breaking. It wasn't, nowadays, demonstration, Poomsae and board breaking is like 540s, 720s and the flips and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was just clean technique or power kicks, right?
Yeah.
But that's where I was exposed to. So it wasn't always sparring in general.
Okay.
Right. But again, from the team and from the 선배s, that's where sparring kind of like opened up, right? I had a very close friend at the time that actually brought me into a different school where I met that 관장님.
Yeah.
Right? And he was like national level, and he was a sparring guy, right? And then so I did get exposure there, but my fight IQ, I would say, just naturally, was so like zero, right? So I wouldn't even understand, right? There was no depth control, right? There was no even like sense of depth, right?
Yeah.
Distance, you know what I mean? And so I was one of those kids that was just like, it's like it wasn't clicking.
Yeah. Like the instinct wasn't there?
Right.
Okay.
But like the team, the 선배, my friend, training, how it felt, like all of that was so good, right? And then so it was just, I was full-hearted and I was 1000% into it.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, like being a partner and just training, that was more than enough for me. That's what I loved. Right. And it came to a point where all the 선배s were competing. They wanted to compete. They wanted to push the team out into sparring competitions. Right. And special acknowledgement to Jimmy Kim Taekwondo Center and the JKI, Jimmy Kim Invitational was one of the first tournaments. Yeah, it was one of the first tournaments. It was actually the first tournament that I actually competed in It was I ended up, back in the day, heavyweights, we sparred at like 12 a.m.,
Yeah.
1 a.m., right? Long hours,
Yeah.
And then it was a one guy, one match, and he was the national team member. I think his name was like Luke or Lucas or something like this.
Do you remember the last name?
I don't, but I remember he was super cool. And he gave me a break by the end of it, but lost 19-2 because then it wasn't like the rounds
Yeah.
gone, right? It was just one big score at the end, And then so a couple rare moments there, but yeah, it was never about, going back to your question, it was never about sparring. It was just taekwondo and this whole environment as a whole.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. The deeper and deeper I got, again, like that fight or flight, I think it was like that fight or flight sense was just like so heavy on me.
Yeah.
Right. So I couldn't believe in myself, in my technique, couldn't believe in the speed that I had. Right. And then so it never really, and then again, my 관장님 was a 품새 and demonstration guy,
Yeah.
so he never really cared to push us.
Yeah.
Right. But the 선배s went out and they competed, and, they would tell me and to try to get me out there and things like that. But I was just always just kind of like just couldn't find it in me to have that competitive drive to want to win that.
Yeah.
Right. I just want to train.
Yeah.
And my drive in training that was the drive, right?
Yeah.
Like train hard, every rep is the fastest and the strongest, focusing in training, getting better, hitting harder, hitting faster, cleaning up the technique. It's always all within training space.
Yeah.
Right. Because that was where my life was, with
Yeah.
taekwondo at least, right? So yeah, wasn't really like a sparring and competition thing. And when I think about it, I can't really say that I grew up in a competitive sparring dojang or a competitive sparring team either.
Yeah. Okay.
Myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is understandable now, competing or putting yourself out there is not for everybody. Maybe they just like to train. Like you said, you just like to train. You just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like for myself, I took myself out of traditional immediately. And actually, it's crazy. So when I was 13, I was still in Taekwondo. When I turned 14, I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped from 14 to 18 years old.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I started playing football and,
Yeah, right,
being in high school,
Yeah, exactly.
once I stopped playing football, my mom actually, called me. She's like, "Hey, do you want to go back to Taekwondo?" I'm like, "Sure, I guess. Why?" She goes, "Well, Gabe Martinez's mom called and said, there's they're training and they need people." So I was like, "All right." So I ended up going.
Yeah.
Kind of getting back in, and I started training with Mihai Valeriu at the time, and he's a hardcore Romanian guy. Great trainer. He taught me a lot. Obviously, for me, he just kind of wasn't for me anymore. But like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got this. I wouldn't have got to open my eyes more, because he showed me the videos of Steven Lopez, Terrence Jennings, Arnell Smith, all the heavy hitters, and I saw that. And like Juan Ramos and Chomli Go, and Chomli Go's a really good friend of mine. Shout out Chomli Go. He's a really good friend of mine. He actually went to the Olympics twice for the Philippines.
Oh, wow.
And he lives in the Bay Area now.
Yeah.
And I saw and I fell in love with fighting more. And I was like, I want to get like that. I want to get fluent. I want to be mean. I want to get in there.
Right.
So I put myself out there, and trust me, man, I sucked. I was horrible. I didn't, when it wasn't CUDA back in the day, it was CTA. Back in the day, before it transferred to CUDA, and I saw the team trials, and that's the first time I saw Damian Villa, Gus Villa, Oscar Zarate, all from Villa's Taekwondo, and they had and James Howe. So I saw heavy hitters that day that I had no idea who they were, and I saw those guys, and I was like, I want to fight those guys. I want to be in that mix. I never been a person that wants to sit back and just kind of just be in the stands. I want to be out there. So as I saw those guys, I just got motivated, and I started training harder and harder. Kind of find out, Villa's Taekwondo wasn't too far because I was living in Whittier at the time. And, they're on Whittier Boulevard in Garfield over there.
Yeah.
So Damien, Damien's friends with everybody. Damien's just a friendly guy. And
also shout out to Damien Mastervilla.
Oh, shout out.
He's been a day oneer for our company as well. Right. He rocks our shoes. He trains in them. He gets it for his kids and his students and everything like that. He was
rocking them at Beast Fights.
Yeah.
He's rocking them in Estonia at Beast Fights.
So Damien, thank you, brother.
Shout out, Damien. I'm gonna see you soon, man. So so Damien, we talked on Facebook. We were talking, chopping it up. And back then, it it was Damien of the Dominance. Like, it was so funny. We had like our own little group.
Yeah.
I wasn't in it yet, and then like later on, I said, "Hey, can I come train with you guys?"
Right.
So I would go train on Fridays,
Yeah.
and they would beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I'm talking like beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, yeah.
But I kept coming back, and I
Right.
kept coming back, and I
Yeah.
kept coming back, and I gained the respect, and I
Mhm.
started getting better. Unfortunately, myself and me, I had a split,
Uh-huh.
and I ended up going to. I didn't go to Vias right away
Uh-huh.
because I'm out of high school. I need a job.
Yeah.
I got to figure life out too, kind of. And funny, we're gonna mention this. Chase Graham's dad,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Graham, who's a great guy.
Yeah.
Love Mr. Graham, nothing but respect to him.
Yeah.
He gave me a job. I'm an 18-year-old kid,
Okay.
kind of obviously not responsible, was late all the way to work.
Uh,
But because of him, he showed me a way of like a proper training,
Mm.
and how to get coached, and he used to always tell me, "Why do you always go out the ring? Why do you always do this?"
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, "I don't know."
Just like habits, calling you out on it, just like habits.
Yeah, and he's like,
little
"Why don't
deeper,
you?
more.
Yeah, why don't you circle out?" And I'm like, so I
Yeah.
started circling out. So I started working on my footwork and ring management,
Right.
things like that. Right? You
Yeah.
don't have to be an expert to give someone obvious advice.
Right.
And if you're coachable, obviously you're gonna learn. You're gonna get better.
Yeah.
You could tell me, "Hey, Sven, I noticed that before you kick, you have a tick before you kick.
Yeah.
You start to tighten up." Things like that. If people don't take those little things in consideration, you're never gonna learn life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always good to be coachable. So because of him, I started training differently. I went with Rocky. You know Master Rocky
Of course.
Nagarete?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I shout out to Rocky Nagarete
Yeah,
saying
not saying
taekwondo.
as well. Yeah, shout out to not saying.
We're gonna give so many shout outs here.
Yeah, yeah.
Rocky, I was training with him, and Phil Berdine was there. Shout out to Phil Berdine. He was there. And we were training. We all were training together. I was actually teaching for Rocky.
Mm.
I was teaching for Rocky, and back then, do you remember when they had regionals?
No.
Okay, so before states, they had regionals, so they would be.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Right,
they'd be
right,
like
right.
at the big Anaheim Stadium
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
super cool. And I went. I had 4 fights. I won, and I was working, and then I was training a couple weeks later with Rocky, and then one day he goes, because we were still going to Vias on Fridays,
Yeah.
and it's so selfless of a person to go, "You're not gonna come here anymore. Don't come back next week." And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "I can't teach you. I can't do nothing for you anymore, Sven.
Mm.
I want you to go. You're gonna go to Vias Taekwondo now full time."
Wow.
And I already talked to Master Via,
Wow.
so he's expecting you. I'm like, "Oh." At the time, I was kind of hurt, not mad at him, but just like, "Damn, man, I'm happy here."
Yeah.
And but it was the right thing to do, and I think it
Wow.
was a very selfless thing to do.
Right,
So a
right.
lot of respect to him, and that's where I jumped into the whole Vias crew.
Yeah.
I transitioned over. 2 weeks later, Phil got kicked out too and sent over there too.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot for somebody to say, "Hey, man, like you've gotten to a certain point with me, you got to move on."
Yeah.
And that's very hard for a lot of coaches and a lot of people in general.
Right. Because generally what you see is maybe the athlete and their parents make a decision to move somewhere else.
Yes.
Right? And then sometimes that stirs a little bit in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right. But then it is kind of the natural, proper course of things.
Yeah.
If you get to you get to a certain kind of cap at that gym,
Yeah.
right? And it's kind of, move upwards and, onwards that way, right?
Yeah.
And like your whole story as a high level competitive athlete, right? And then my story of just kind of being like a corner Dojang kid, right? Just whatever neighborhood school and
Yeah.
coming up all the way in as deep as I did in Taekwondo, right?
Yeah.
Is really kind of like the it's kind of like the testament to what our company is like aimed for.
Yes.
Right? Like the Taekwondo community, we always brand one of our logos is community culture.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for example, like your mom got you into Taekwondo, and as you were gone away from that, your mom's friend's mom, right, was like, hey, this and that brought you in. And then you had a coach, and then you had a master that's brought you over here. And,
Yeah.
all the shout out to all the Taekwondo moms and dads and all the Taekwondo family members that go to all the competitions, go to all the tournaments, do all the traveling, pay all the fees. Like our whole community revolves around that whole village, right?
Exactly.
Another logo of ours is that it takes a village,
It takes a village. Yes, it
right?
does.
And then so wherever you're starting from or wherever your pathway in Taekwondo kind of took you, Top TKD, that's what we're trying to service. Let's
Yeah.
bring more lifestyle to Taekwondo, right? Let's bring more fun to Taekwondo, right? We've spoken about this before too, right? The basketball kids can go buy LeBrons, they can
Yeah.
buy Currys, they could buy the shoes, Jordans,
Yeah.
right? The soccer kids can go buy their Adidas and things like this, right? And so we want it to be a brand where, Taekwondo kids and Taekwondo people can also, have more fun, right?
Yeah.
More fun buying things or more fun looking out for the next thing, right?
Yeah.
Which also brings me to this point. I brought you something. I'm sure you've already seen our shirts. And so I brought you our original shirt design, which most people have already seen now. Bam,
That's nice.
right? And if you're wondering what the Chinese characters on the bottom say, it's pretty much a proverb, a martial arts proverb saying turning an iron pedestal, grinding it all the way down into a fine needle,
Yeah.
right? So this one is for you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
And I want to take this opportunity to show off the new design, okay? Top TKD University shirt. So this is inspired pretty much off of like how Korea universities, in Korea, Taekwondo is a whole subject, major, and division,
Yeah.
right? So we have the Taekwondo division on there. And as you mentioned a little bit earlier about the Pumse
Yeah.
side of our world, because you're a sparring competitor, high-level sparring competitor,
Yeah.
you're only going to do sparring,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard to do well in both,
Yes.
right? And the shoes, obviously come to a lot of sparring people, right?
Yeah.
And Pumse is a huge part of our community, right? And so I wanted to include this line here. It says Taekwondo e Wongo, which is the manuscript of Taekwondo, right? Pumse is like our ancient, basic, it's our guidelines of all of our moves, right?
Yes.
And so we got all of the black belt Pumse names here on the bottom as well. We got the front logo of Top TKD Taekwondo Education Department. So this will be the new shirt that we've finally been able to print out and get ready. We're gonna launch these real soon as well.
That's tight, man.
Hell
Thank
yeah,
you
man.
so much.
Of
I
course.
appreciate it, man. Actually, my favorite Pumse athlete is Claire Kim.
Claire Kim.
Claire Kim.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love Claire.
Yeah, I'll put this
She's
away for you.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
She's awesome. She actually it's funny because back in the day, myself, her, Richard Lee, Brandon Meek, Jason Huang.
Yeah.
When we were younger, we all used to actually hang out in K-Town.
Okay.
And all used to kick it all the time. Johnny Wynn will come down every once in a while.
Yeah.
We all hang out. So it's funny because I love Korean culture. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I've been to Korea 4 times.
Yeah.
I've competed at Korea Open twice.
Right.
And I even competed at Gyeongju in 2011 for World Championships. And then I went like 3 years ago for work for like a month. So
Yeah.
I love Korea,
Yeah.
and I don't think a lot of people really try to take the time to understand it.
Right.
Again, I do make my jokes. I do talk about a lot of shit about certain things.
Yeah.
Again, but it's jokes. I'm still friends with actually Pumse people. Megan Yee, I know you're gonna see this. Megan, I know she's gonna see this.
All-star champ.
Oh my God, I give her so much shit just about a sidekick. I just love to mess with people. If I can find one thing,
Yeah.
but she knows I'm joking.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's all a joke. When I disappeared from Taekwondo, right? I was silent for years. After when I was done, I said, I'm like that guy that goes, after you graduate high school, you never go back to visit the teachers, right? You just go live on with your life.
Right.
Because when I stopped in 2016, it was my last chance.
Yeah.
I was 29, gonna turn 30 soon. And I said, man, I need to get my life together.
Yeah.
Because I had no plan. I didn't go to school.
Right.
And at the time, I was with my girlfriend, who's my wife now. And because of her, I was able to get that last opportunity. It was a choice from Guyana. They said, it's either you or Jabril, who's the other team member. And luckily, I had a good couple years. And they were like, all right, so Sven, we're going to give you another shot.
Yeah.
But I knew it was the last one. And, because of my wife, I said, hey, man, can you hold down the bills so I can get this going?
Yeah.
And I was training back at Via's. And that's where I ended my career, man. Like, I ended it there. And I told myself when I was done, I was like, I'll never mess with Taekwondo again.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later,
yeah.
I read things here and there about USAT on Facebook. And, I noticed that, okay, we had 2 British coaches. At the time, I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I ain't got nothing to say.
Yeah.
But then I started reading things, and junior teams not being funded, which is not new. It's how do you say it? That's a new thing. They say they were never funded, which is a lie. They've been funded because I've brought former junior team members on my show. Jessica Torres, Jay Lopez, Darian Morales, Nelson Morales, and I've had Darian, who actually I coached to get on team before. Obviously I got her when she was already Darian Morales, and her brother Nelson. I got them both on team. Nikki Polanco got her on team, and then also my first one, Tiffany Koo, who I got when I was working for Grandmaster Young and Chun at the time. So she was my my first person I got on team. And they were funded, they were fully taken care of. As soon as after you win team trials, even Poomsae, already, here's your jacket, here's your sweater, here's your beanie, here's everything you need. And they go through your whole paperwork and okay, we need your passport, we need this, we need this. They were on it. I don't know what messed up. But I just don't think it's fair that we, not we, but parents, right? You pay all this money. We're talking about how it takes a village to do all this stuff. And as a parent, I'm a parent myself. My son, if I'm paying money for him to go to training, shoes, TOPTKD shoes, by the way, uniforms, TOPTKD uniforms, by the way, but in gear and, practice, coaching fees, tournaments, all this stuff takes time and money. If my son works his ass off and he makes team, and I got an organization who is supposed to be the gateway to Olympics, right? Tell me, sorry, all right, so you guys, here's the bill, you're gonna have to fund yourself. My son's not going to that. There's no way. If the country and the organization can't back them, why am I paying money for my son and paying a portion of some coach who I don't even know and probably doesn't give two craps about the kid, pay their way? I'm paying a free vacation for an adult, pretty much, right? If I want to do that, I think USAT, if they're not going to fund the kids, they should take their own coach. In my last episode that I did with Juan, Terrence, and David Montalvo, I spoke about how Pan Am Championships recently, Caitlin Cox, who's actually a former student of mine, and then, when I stopped coaching, she went to Taylor and Tavis, who are actually doing an amazing job with her. They took her to the next level. I didn't do it, but they did it. So that makes me happy. She went to Pan Am Championships. They're supposed to take their own coach because she went as a wild card, right? But then they told her, no, you can't take your own coach because you're on national team. So she's fighting Faith Dillon. Who did she get as a coach? Nikki Oliver. How does that make sense? And then Faith Dillon gets the head coach, Gareth Brown. You know what I mean? So there's not a lot of how do you say, integrity, I would say, in Taekwondo these days. But with what you're trying to bring to the table, what I'm trying to bring to the table, I know us combining can help bring that back. Get these athletes paid, get these athletes taken care of. Right. That's the whole thing. The whole thing with Taekwondo, it's not a lot of money in this thing. It's not. Unless you're a CJ Nicholas, and obviously he's killing it out there. I know a lot of people dog him out for certain things, but he's doing what he has to do to survive. Right. Obviously, he's the hottest thing right now in Taekwondo. He just released a shoe. But we're here to release the shoe for everybody. You're here to make a difference. I see you posting uniforms. I see you posting gear. You're on the move, man. Honestly, I remember watching James Kim when he started. Walking around tournaments in shin guards, arm guards. He did whatever it took. And I know that's where you're headed towards.
I mean, we're not specifically trying to just be like a gear or equipment wholesale brand or anything like that, right? We want to be a community brand. We want to, establish that entity and, bringing up like USAT and the whole track and everything like that, right? And as you said, there's not that much money involved in Taekwondo, but that is the feedback loop. It's only one side. Right. Because if you think about all the money that goes into Taekwondo, it's huge. Right. And this is not only, for me, I don't see it as only the circuit, right? Not just the traveling costs and not just the membership fees and the training fees and the coaching fees, right? But you're talking about 도장 owners, 관장님s. We're talking about rent. We're talking about instructor pay. We're talking about, all the equipment that they need to buy. We're talking about overhead, right? Usually a taekwondo dojang overhead is not high compared to other businesses, but think about how many dojangs there are across the country, right? Maybe they don't compete, maybe they're not in the scene. That's fine, right? You're still part of the community. Like even like me, I would not have gone anywhere as deep as I did in taekwondo and had the true passion for taekwondo if I didn't start at that local just corner dojang. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so one of the mandates, another mandate, and I've mentioned this many times to the people who I've had conversations with about the company, is that we want to get athletes paid,
Yes.
right? I never competed to the level that you did, but I know that I've trained as hard,
Yeah.
right? So at least I could have been a good partner, at least that level, right? Let's
Yeah, of
just say,
course.
And so the amount of training that goes into taekwondo, the amount of injury, like let's be honest, when you kick old school style that many years with like your dominant right leg, when you're like 40s, late 30s, 50s, you got hip problems,
Oh yeah.
you know? It's
Shut
just you just might be blessed with genes where you have that natural flexibility and your hips and your leg joints, it's just kind of you're okay.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's not very healthy,
Yeah.
right? And so you go through all that training, you go through all that time, you shoot for glory as far as you can go. Maybe it's Olympics, great, After all of that, what can you actually do? Right? Sustaining in taekwondo,
Yeah.
okay, the most sustainability and longevity you could have is opening a gym, right?
Yeah.
But what is Kwanjang님's number one issue in my experience is that there's no next instructor,
Yeah.
right? It's very rare where, a parent or a family or a person is going to be like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to decide to, live my life as a career of teaching taekwondo, right? Most is go to college, go to university, go to military, get a job, get benefits, stack, save for retirement, and, live the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of a taekwondo career, what do you really get? You could do the seminars,
Yeah.
right? But that's not going to sustain an income.
Nope.
You know what I mean? You can, like there's not much anything there after,
Yeah.
right? And so most of all of our money, our community money goes into funding the organizations,
Yeah.
right? We just don't see that loop come back to us, right? So a very key concept in the business for us is recycling funds,
Yeah.
right? When we establish revenue, that money needs to flow back. And for us, ultimately, we want it to flow back. Of course, it has to flow back into the company so we could do more and scale, right? But then in the end, it also has to end up at the athlete,
Yes.
right? So a good friend of mine he's just great at business. You had a conversation with him and he was explaining to me that, like money never stops moving,
No.
right? And then when you do stop moving it, that's a problem, right? People like to hold cash, right? Holding cash in certain situations of economy, it's the right thing to do. But just in a general concept, holding cash, doesn't really work. Invest it, right? Or at least put it in some interest or something, right?
Yes.
But for us, we want to make sure that the revenue that we generate by bringing more community-based stuff for the taekwondo
Yeah.
community, like new things, fun things, right? It's supposed to recycle back, right? And then that way we can have a little bit more sustainability and longevity for taekwondo people, right? Going back to what my good friend was telling me was that money is an ever flowing state. It's
Yeah.
always moving, right? It's just how do you position yourself where that flow and stream of money ends up coming through you,
Yeah.
right? And so for us in the taekwondo community, there's a lot of money. We all work, parents work, we generate income, we save money, and then we pay the money into traveling or into the organizations and memberships and tojangs and everything like that, and it stops, right? Like you said, why doesn't the money come back to the teams,
Yeah.
right? Why doesn't money come back to the kids or to the parents, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And then so for us, we want to try to build that, right? Our main sponsor for our company is Daniela Souza.
Okay.
She's the Mexico national team Olympic hopeful,
Yeah.
right? We're sponsoring her, and we're aiming for LA 2028 Olympics, right? And so, like something for her too is, we're trying to establish our Mexico market,
Yeah.
right? And, with a campaign face like Daniela, she's very popular. She's a great person,
Yeah.
great personality, and she trains very hard. that will help drive, let's just say, for example, that'll help drive sales into the warehouse that we may have in Mexico. And the funds from there will now essentially be able to pay out into her.
Yes.
So she doesn't need to be there. She doesn't need to sell anything. She just has to be that taekwondo person that we all respect. She's living that life.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
All the training, all that time spent, all the youth, those years that's spent, right? All of that is being spent into chasing glory. And if for us, glory is Olympic medal, great, right?
Yes.
After the Olympic medal is done,
Then what?
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And so we hope to be able to be, when we legitimately sponsor an athlete and have you as a top TKD athlete, we want to make sure that there's a funding source for you so that all your efforts of giving us like the role model,
Yeah.
right? Giving us the name, like you are the name. We watch you, we cheer for you. Like you're doing it, right? You're doing it for our community. You are part of our community,
Yep.
right? So we want to make sure that that flow and that income, let's just say, is steady and has much longevity for them, right?
Yeah.
So another bringing that up, I'm sure you've seen as well, is our Bounty Games project.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so part of that whole idea of generating income and getting these athletes paid is our Bounty Games project.
Yes.
Right. And so our Bounty Games project is a 3-on-3 circuit. And we're trying to bring this avenue as the fork in the road, right? Right now, our sport has gone to the PSS game, right? Dato, KPMP, these guys. And that's kind of shaped our sport and the way we compete into its own kind of mold, right? Let's say like this, like the 6'2", 135-pound, long leg,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of molded into one way.
Yeah.
But for the organizations, I understand, right? They need to do what they believe is the next best, or they need to do what they believe is going to carry on forward, and how they develop more and things like this. But then what didn't happen is we lost the kind of like the traditional fight style,
Yeah.
right? The big bangs, back leg bangs,
Yep.
things like that. And so our 3-on-3, we just had our initial pilot episode meeting the other day. Our 3-on-3 is aimed for a 10-9 scoring system.
Okay.
Like a boxing, MMA, those.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah. We want to aim it for no headgear, no chest guard. We're gonna have arm and shins,
Yeah.
right? And we want these guys to just bang out. And in the beginning, it's gonna have some getting used to, of course, because no one is used to fighting taekwondo under a 10-9 system,
Exactly.
right? And so we want to play it that way. And one of the goals and the reasons behind the confidence in this project is that when you go to YouTube, there's nothing fun to watch under the taekwondo key search word.
Nope.
Right? I would say Taekwondo Fury,
Yeah.
Danny, great kid.
Yeah.
And what he's doing is pretty much probably one of the best things in the Taekwondo community.
Yeah.
Nobody is doing it like him.
Yeah. No, you're
Right?
right. Yeah.
And, if anything on YouTube, check out Taekwondo Fury. Taekwondo on YouTube, that's all that there is.
Yeah. No, he actually makes really good content.
Yeah.
I watch it. Obviously being a former high-level athlete, I have my own critiques in my head, but he does great for those kids. The kids love him.
Yeah.
And so go ahead.
Yeah. And so going back to that is we want to take advantage of the dryness, right? So one of the goals is to increase the YouTube keyword search taekwondo on the algorithm because it's dry.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. Right? Maybe we can watch the Grand Prix, but we're listening to that same commentator that, professional as he is.
Exactly.
It's not that exciting, right?
Yeah.
And so we want to take advantage of that. And then hopefully the 3-on-3 circuit, we're going to turn into production.
Yes.
And it's an entertaining thing to watch.
Yes.
Right? And ultimately what we want from that is we want the teams to be highlighted.
Yeah.
More sponsorship opportunities.
Exactly.
And then the revenue that generates from there, which from our community, I hope that we enjoy it all together to watch, will then be able to flow back into the teams.
Yes.
Right? And then we can get them paid.
Yeah.
One thing that we want to do is, just like amateur and pro MMA fighters, I was just at the Up Next Fighting card the other night.
Yeah, you were telling me last night,
Yeah. is that, you know, they have mom and pop businesses that sponsor them, right?
Yeah.
And you know, it's whatever cost, and they put their logo on their shorts or they put their logo on their
Yeah.
shirts. You know, they try to shout them out. You know, can you see the logo on the shorts from even live view? You can't,
No.
right? You know, but that's the point of the matter is that it's just like us, where we respect these guys for living that life. You
Yes.
know, one of the things that I use, one of the terms I use all the time is TKD lifers,
Yeah.
right? Again, it's a sad life in a way,
Yeah.
right? You spend all this time doing this, you spend all this time training. In the end, you don't really come out with anything,
Yeah.
you know, but thank you, right? Because taekwondo is my passion, right? And it wouldn't be as big, it wouldn't be as fun, it wouldn't be as meaningful if we didn't have the community doing what they do, the parents that pay, the coaches that travel, the athletes that are down to train and
Yep.
actually shoot for it and go for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For whatever the reason is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No,
And
exactly.
so the bounty games is trying to be more of a 3-on-3, because 3-on-3 I've done a couple 3-on-3 events and matches. It's always hype.
Oh yeah.
It's always hype.
Yeah.
You know, we did one in the collegiate scene. Come on, college kids,
Yeah.
you know, out there screaming for their team members,
Yeah.
right? It gets crazy hype.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like you've seen the what? It was the old International Taekwondo Festival.
Yep, which
Yeah.
you guys have done as well.
Yeah. I've done that
Right? Yeah,
multiple times.
you know.
Yeah.
But we went from the 5-on-5 down to the 3-on-3, right? Which
Oh,
has kind of honed it down a little
how
bit.
do you do? How would you declare the weights? Have you
Yeah,
guys?
so we do a group weight.
Yeah.
So you have a team max cap weight. So if you want like 2 small guys, 1 big guy, you want 3
As long as you
medium
cap
guys.
that
Yeah, as
weight.
long as you cap that weight, you're good. Because now the one thing that I really love about 3-on-3 is that the coaching is now even more critical, right?
Mm.
It's not just you know your guy and you're trying to figure out that guy, you know, within 2 rounds or 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, you have your 3 set, you have those 3 set, mix and match. They can mix and match. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And when are you going to switch them out? Why are you going to switch them out? Who do you think they're going to switch out next?
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of coaches' mental strategy there too.
Oh yes.
You know, so it puts a little pressure on the coaches, but now at least, you know, we can give more respect. We
Yeah.
can give more glory to the coaches as well. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Right?
You know, I know someone who would like to do that. It'll probably bring him out of retirement too.
Uh,
Damien V would do it. I bet you anything.
hey,
You know
Damien.
what? Who? Yeah, Damien. Hey, I know you want to do it, man. Because you know what? You like a challenge. You want to show these youngsters how it's done. And who doesn't want to take a crack at at the former king?
Yeah.
You know, who wouldn't want that fight?
Right.
You know?
And another cool thing about that is, you know, these true just gangster old school fighters, right? Banging down on some of these new school guys,
Oh yeah.
you know, and just kind of showing them like, hey, you know, just understand that this is where, you know, your whole taekwondo comes from,
Yeah.
right? You know,
Liv-
but exciting news is I do have a potential team right now that is out on the East Coast,
Okay.
and I'm telling you, their team is stacked. Their team, I can't list names right now,
Yeah.
but their team is stacked. And then what I mean by stacked, I'm saying like they have entertainment value, they have that fighter's confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? Their technique is clean, powerful shots. Because the scoring, and this was a question that came up in our meeting. So the scoring is going to be based on 3 priorities.
Yeah.
So first one is volume. Okay, like you can block, you
Yeah.
know, but that's still going to be scored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're just gonna sit there and block, like, okay, maybe they didn't score in our usual what we're used to, but it's not about that anymore.
Just
You know what I
damage.
mean? Right. So it's volume, it's weight behind the kicks,
Yeah.
and then it's damage.
Yeah.
You know, I very much expect knockdowns, right? Like think about a back kick to your rib. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No chest guard. Somebody's gonna get the wind knocked out of
It
them,
sucks.
right? You know, someone's going down.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the true nature of our art.
Yeah.
You know, we're dangerous too, right? And now when you put the same art against each other like that, you know, our people will have a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the bounty games, a little breakdown of the bounty games. You know, we're trying to get these guys paid and we're trying to do it in a fun manner, a fun circuit. And, you know, I'm excited to finally get this project starting to move.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we'll see how it goes. You know, it's still a do it or not spot right now. So we're going to, my plan is to run this pilot episode.
Yeah.
We're going to put the whole production. We're going to generate it. We're going to create it. And then I'm going to make an official decision whether or not this project is dead and we're not going to pursue,
Yeah.
or if we're going to pursue.
I think you have something big here, man.
Thank you, dude.
You know, I think it's a big shot. but it's a shot that can hit.
Right.
And and like in taekwondo, if there's no risk, no reward.
Yeah.
So I think you're onto something here, man. And not only with the bounty games, but also with your company, what you're building. Man, you have very, very good ideas, dude. And you're well-rounded, very smart, very intelligent, and you really thought about this.
1000%.
I could tell, like, there's no breaking you on any ideas. We and I had a couple of conversations over the phone, and you're in it 1000%. And I could believe in anyone that believes in themselves.
Right.
So hey, man, I'm in it with you.
Yeah.
This is gonna be awesome, dude. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah. And I think the reason being is because I don't come from just like one specific side.
Yeah.
Right. My coaching is definitely, and my training is definitely primarily sparring.
Yeah.
Right. That's where I have the most fun, and that's what I've been doing the most. But again, I've had demonstration, demo team, pumse, board breaking, community dojangs, neighborhood dojangs, elite dojangs, right? So I'm coming from not like an elite sparring, high level sparring career,
Yeah.
right? I'm coming from community, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so I think that's why Top TKD is geared in the right way, right? And our community deserves it.
Yeah.
We may be niche, we may be considered niche, but we're so very wide, right? 태극 1장, 2장, 3장, all of that. We can go to like, I don't know, like some random country that has taekwondo.
Yep.
They do the same pumses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right? And then so our community is wide, bro.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's just nice to know that, I'm part of that community, and, I'm just doing really what I would want to. Like these shirts is pretty much the only shirt. When I have a chance to wear casual clothes outside,
Yeah.
besides gym clothes or my work suits, right? I only rock these.
Yeah.
Right? I only rock Top TKD or like taekwondo stuff. It's because I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where my background is. That's where my lifestyle is. And so we want to be able to deliver that more and more. Now we're a small company, so we're scaling.
Yeah.
Right? But from that, there's a lot of important people that I want to shout out here at the end of this, that have been, just day oneers for me.
Yeah. Of course.
This gentleman too, my boy Raymore.
Shout out Raymore.
Beyond Martial Arts. Raymore has been a day one with me even before I launched. When this was all coming into fruition and putting things together and trying to think of the colors. I remember I was sitting at the cafes working, and like I'd call him and just be like, Raymore, what do you think? Like, this is my idea. This is what I'm thinking. And Raymore's a confident guy.
Yeah.
And he's great at business as well. So, and he's the number one thing for him is that he's always down to share his honesty with me.
Yeah.
He's always down to just share it with me and
Yeah.
give me the good words, give me the bad words. You know what I mean? Right? Damien, also day oneer supporter. All my hubes, I love you guys. They know who they are. There's Brandon Kim, Bella War, Moroni, thank you, brother. Kaliana, all these guys were part of me trying things that I thought was gonna work or was right.
Yeah.
And it came out great. But in the end, didn't really come out too much because I'm still learning. I'm not a marketing guy at all.
Yeah.
I'm not a marketing or anything like that. So I'm trying this and I'm trying that, and all of them have been down with me from day one. So thank you guys so much. And I've learned a lot going in. We've been able to scale. This is the 4th time we're scaling bigger now.
Yeah.
Right. And then so it's things are good. I want to shout out Christian Suh, Master and Coach Christian Suh over in New York. Thank you, brother, so much as well. He's been down to do things with me since day one as well. He gave me the opportunity to sponsor the Hanguk Team Camp seminar over in New York as well. There's a lot more that I should have made a list, but I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line I'm gonna do an official thank you.
Yeah.
And do something nice for them. I hope we can get to that point in the company's life as well, right? And of course, ATI, UCI, San Juan Taekwondo, Master Alex Robles, one of my close 선배s. Thank you so much. Coach Ethan Shin, American Tigers Mission Viejo. Thank you, sir, for everything that you've done for me. Any kind of sick edits on videos, He did it for me, you know.
Yeah.
Curtis Cole Media, he's somebody that believes in what I'm doing. He's not a taekwondo person. He's just a media guy, but he believes in the company, and he's been, keeping up with me and following up with me, and really seeing the belief in it, and working with me and helping me out there. Of course, Sven, thank you, brother.
Of course, man.
You
Of course.
know,
Of course.
I'm happy to be invited to VVR. However big or small VVR is, it's the community based thing for our community.
Yes.
Who else does that? You know what I mean?
No, I get it. I
Right?
appreciate it, man. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
And a special shout out at this point. It is a little bit of an unorthodox sponsor, but I just want to thank you guys very much so. This is a 21 plus alcohol premium soju from Yobo. Yobo means dear or honey. You would call your wife Yobo. Your
Yobo?
wife would call you Yobo,
Okay.
like that. So it's a friendly. This is their Lux line, Soju Lux. And so thank you guys so much for sponsoring and being a partner for our company as well. I appreciate it very much.
That's actually pretty cool. Yobo.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just so you know, this is the magic drink. So if your wife's ever mad at you, give her a couple of these, and you're gonna be right. You'll be in the clear.
Also, I want to shout out Galena and Create Caster here in Sawtell, Los Angeles, California, for letting us, use this studio podcast setup. It's amazing. If anyone ever wants to look into recording, please check these guys out. There's 4, 5 different theme rooms, professional cameras, all here are ready for you guys to use. They have a technician here for you for all the gear and equipment. And of course, they have all the files and everything readily available to give to you at the end of the day. So I just want to say special thanks to you guys there. Again, I'm Coach DK, TOPTKD. It's a community brand for our taekwondo community. And I want to thank everyone at this point that has rocked our shoes, rocked our shirts, came and say hello to me, giving me good feedback, bad feedback, whatever it may be. We have a lot more projects ahead of us. And every year right now, we are scaling twice. So right now, I would assume in 2027, we have potentially the bounty games. And hopefully we can scale 3 times in 2027, and so that we can really start getting into some real sponsorships and really getting some of these guys paid and really doing some fun stuff. So then VVR Radio, thank you so much, brother.
Hey, of course, man. Everyone that tuned in, thank you. Make sure you follow TOPTKD next _ on Instagram. Also follow Verbal Violence Radio on Instagram as well. Thank you, Galena from CreateCaster. Again, this is a beautiful setup. This is new for us. Obviously, we were a little nervous, but it's all good. I want to thank all my followers, also the people that pushed me to move forward on podcasting, Rashid, Jeffrey Williams, man, Victoria, Darianne, everyone, all my guests. Because of you guys, this is possible. And because of you guys, I was able to get a hold of Mr. DK over here from TOPTKD. We're moving in the right direction. Hey, I only started 15 weeks ago, and look where we are now. Okay, we're gonna keep moving forward. Myself, Sven from VVR, and also we got David from TOPTKD. So let's keep it moving, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Loved it, dude.